Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. We're going to give people a few minutes to get logged on, get comfy. I know everybody's trying to come from the keynote. Thank you for being here. So like I said, we're just going to give people another minute. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, say hi. We're happy to have you here. Okay. Awesome. I think I'll get started. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the PeerTAC workshop, The Resource Room, a demonstration of tools, training, and TA for supervisors. And this is presented by Rita Cronise, Joanne Forbes, Carrie and Rollier, Emily Childress, and Casey Carpenter at the inaugural Supervision Summit. My name is Angelique Rodriguez, and I'll be the moderator for this session. For any technical support during the session, please feel free to reach out to Emily or to myself. You can chat to me directly during the workshop. Your microphones will be muted and cameras off to eliminate any background noise or distractions. And we encourage you to use the chat to comment, to ask questions. Choose everyone in the chat for your comments, or if you want to ask a question to any of us directly, you could choose hosts and panelists. Just a reminder that the session will be recorded, and a link to the recording and slides or any handouts will be posted on the PeerTAC website within the next 30 days. So I'll be posting the PeerTAC site in the chat as well. If you lose any internet connection or accidentally leave the Zoom room, choose the link next to the title of this workshop on your program schedule. I'll also put a link to that in the chat in order to rejoin. And if you're seeking CE credit, you cannot use the phone link. 10 minutes will be reserved at the end to ask questions. I know there'll be breakout rooms too, so excited for that. And if you need any help, also feel free to chat me with that. You'll receive instructions by email to complete the workshop evaluation and about earning CE credits for your participation from the Alliance. And with all that said, PeerTAC would like to thank you for being here. And to learn more about these wonderful presenters and to see their bios, feel free to visit the PeerTAC website and the Supervision Summit webpage. So now I will hand it off to Rita. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Angelique, and thanks for your support. So I'm Rita Cronise, and I'm a co-director of the Peer Support Services Technical Assistance Center, also known as PeerTAC. Just a very brief about me. I have a person who has lived experience and has had lived experience all my life, basically. But just delighted to be here with my colleagues, and I'm going to ask each of them to just very briefly introduce themselves. Joanne.
I had to unmute myself. Hello, everyone. I'm Joanne Forbes. I'm delighted to be with you this afternoon. I have spent a lot of years in and around peer support as a administrator, educator, person with lived experience, and have worked with Baltic Street Wellness Solutions since its beginning, and I'm just delighted to be here. I'm going to pass it to Emily.
Great. Thank you, Joanne. I am Emily Childress, and I am with the Alliance for Rights and Recovery, formerly N.A.P.S. And I currently serve the Alliance as the director of the core Peer Navigator project. I myself am an individual with living experience as it is ongoing. And I'm really happy to be here to share some of the Alliance resources with you all. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it to Carrie Ann.
you, Emily. I am Carrie Rollier. I am the Director of Training and Workforce Development at Families Together in New York State. I'm a family peer advocate and have lived experience as a parent of 3 adult children now who have developmental disabilities. I've been in a family peer advocate now for, I think, almost 9 years, 10 years, almost 10 years. And I have been in the role of a direct support person, a supervisor, a program coordinator, and now director. And I'm going to pass it to Casey.
Marianne. Hi, everyone. My name is Casey Carpenter. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the program coordinator for the New York Peer Advancement Network, which we lovingly shorten to NYPAN. And it's a project that's being run by the National Association of Peer Supporters, where I'm also an admin assistant. And my background is in direct service peer support in Vermont at a place called Soteria House, if anyone has heard of that before. It's a peer respite for folks going through what we call an extreme state, sometimes called psychosis. And I'm super excited to be here. I think I'm the last one.
Yep. Thank you, Casey. All right, so we have just a couple of objectives for today, and we're hoping that you'll walk away from this program being able to recognize some of the attitudes, skills, and knowledges that lead to peer-informed supervision, to be able to identify some of the emerging resources to enhance the effectiveness of supervisors, of peer specialists, and advocates, and to be able to access some of these wonderful resources that were developed by PeerTAC and some of the partners that are here. We have a lot of partners, but these partners in particular we wanted to make sure that you knew about and could access their information to support your supervisory practices. So the process that we're going to follow for this particular workshop is that each of the 5 of us are going to give just a very brief elevator speech about the resource that we have brought to share with you. We'll then go into breakout rooms. So each of the 5 of us will have a breakout room where you can join us, learn a little bit more about the resource that we're sharing. And then we'll come back to the large group after that to allow each of you to share some of your reactions about what you saw in the particular breakout room that you went to. We don't have enough time for you to go to every single one of us for an extended period of time, but we thought we could give you a taste in the elevator speech of what we're going to talk about, a more extended opportunity to see a demo of what we have to share, and then come back and you can kind of share with each other some of what you saw in that demo. So with that, the resources that we're going to be sharing are, I'm going to go on to the PeerTAC website and share with you the resource library that we have, and a little bit about an upcoming playlist that we're going to be sharing, which will include the videos from today's session. We'll be developing a playlist over the next 30 days that will include that, the presentation slides, any resources that the presenters have shared, and we'll have just kind of a playlist. And I'm going to give a real big shout out to Libby Hardigan, who is here with Share, who we shamelessly stole their ideas for doing a supervision summit. We're going to be doing something very similar to them because they have an annual supervision summit. They post all of their videos, and we're doing something very similar to what they've been doing, which is a great conference. And they will be coming up with their conference is, I think, on April 17th. You can put that in the chat if you want to, Libby. Anyway, I digress. The next resource that we're going to be sharing is a supervision specialty track. The Academy of Peer Services has developed 5 specialization tracks. Supervision is one of those specialty tracks, and Joanne Forbes, who was the manager of that project, will be sharing the supervision specialty track that was developed for that A.P.S. project. With the Alliance for Rights and Recovery, Emily is going to be sharing a little bit about the Alliance's collective, training collective, and their N.A.P.S program, which is the New York Psychiatric Rehabilitation Training Academy program. She'll share a little bit about that. And Carrie will be sharing about the family peer advocate and youth peer advocate hiring toolkits that are available. And Casey will be sharing about the National Association of Peer Supporters, New York Peer Advancement Network. So with that, we'll just give you a very brief taste of what we're going to talk about, Then we'll do the breakouts. You can join one of the 5 of us in our breakouts, and then we'll come back together after that. Okay, so a little bit about the PeerTAC resource library. The PeerTAC Center, our Technical Assistance Center, has a library of about 100 resources that you can search. We have a searchable database, and we have a lot of resources that are webinars that we've created. We have a regional session that we have posted the presentation slides for. We have books. We have books like the On Track New York Peer Specialist Manual. They have a guidebook there. And we also are in the midst of developing even more. Joanne will talk about one of them, but we're developing a guidebook for supervisors, a guidebook for working with peer-run organizations, a guidebook for developing an internship program. So we have a lot of things that we're in the midst of developing right now that will be posted on this resource library in the near future. So I'll talk a little bit more about what's coming. But if you join me, you can get to see a little bit more of what's behind the scenes and what's actually available right now on the site. So I think that's all I'm going to say for now. I'll share a little bit more in the breakout session. And with that, I'll pass it on to Joanne.
Thanks, Rita. And again, hello, everyone. I want to spend 5 minutes in this elevator to talk to you about the Academy of Peer Services specialization track, in particular, the one that pertains to our topic today, which is supervision. There are actually 3 wonderful offerings that the Academy of Peer Services has for supervision. One of them, as I said, is the specialization track itself. That includes really 6 modules that individuals can take. Each module is about 2 hours in length, and it really gives you the A to Z's of supervision, from how supervision is performed, some of the myths and realities of that. We spend a lot of time talking about self-care and support, as well as a whole module on navigating recovery-oriented services in a kind of medical-oriented world, if that's where you happen to be. And we also offer a module on learning collaboratives, how to set them up in your arena, how to get them started, how to increase participation, because as we know, learning is lifelong. The second particular special gift that the Academy of Peer Services offers is something that we call Train the Trainer. So not only did we put together these supervision specialty modules, we also provided a resource that you can use in your own community, your own organization, to train the workforce in these particular areas. It involves a facilitator guide and a learning workbook. I'm going to talk more about that in the breakout room. And as Rita hinted, we have developed a self-directed supervisor's workbook that is really intended to support self-directed learning. You can go at your own pace, at your own time. And we're really very excited about having that up in the PeerTAC resource. And I'll be talking more in the breakout room, but I'm going to hand it to, I believe, Emily.
Yes, thank you. So for the Alliance for Rights and Recovery, I'm going to be talking about 2 different programs that we have within our organization. The first is the New York Psychiatric Rehabilitation Training Academy. This is a 3-year-long project that is now on their 2nd cohort of learners that's really designed around psychiatric rehabilitation. It includes the certification to be a certified psychiatric rehabilitation practitioner, or CPRP. And a new addition this year to the training academy is a supervision cohort that starts next month. And the second resource that I want to share from the Alliance is called the Collective. This is a statewide training collective team that we have that is available to provide trainings for free to any organization that receives any sort of OMH funding or reimbursement through Medicaid. I'll go deep through the catalog of trainings that are available through the collective, but they have a little bit of everything. A few of the trainings that I would want to spotlight for our group particularly is that we have a new employee onboarding training that really covers recovery-oriented practices. If you're hiring new staff at any point in time, I always recommend seeing when the collective is offering one of our new employee orientations to have staff attend. And we have plenty of trainings for new supervisors as well. I'll really do a deep dive into the catalog during our breakout room, but our collective is also available to provide some technical assistance as needed one-on-one with agencies as well. And I'm going to turn it over to Carrie Ann, and Rita, you can pass those others. I'll cover all those slides in our breakout.
Thank you, Emily. So I'm going to be covering 2 hiring toolkits, one for family peer advocates and one for youth peer advocates. These are called hiring toolkits, but there's so much more than that. They have, they're very interactive. You can go through the toolkits in order and follow the guidance of the modular, or you can skip around and find exactly what you're looking for. There's videos, there's PDFs with guidance and information, there's checklists, there are sample job descriptions. There's so much information. I know I'm not even going to be able to go through all of it in our breakout room because there's so much, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a snippet and walk you through what is all of the amazing resources that are in our breakout room. I'm going to just mention a couple more resources that Families Together offers for supervisors that's not on this slide. Is we just started doing a monthly YPA supervisor cafe. And so that is available for anybody who is a supervisor of youth peer advocates, whether that supervisor is a youth peer advocate or not. It's a space to talk about challenges, successes, and get some guidance and support from the supervisors that are in there and from the Families Together staff. Likewise, we're also going to be doing a FPA supervisor cafe starting in May. That'll be offered every other month, and we'll have some different topics, and anybody who is supervising a family peer advocate is welcome to attend those. And next year we have a long list of resources that we will be developing for supervisors and for peers who are looking to become supervisors. And we're going to have some learning tools and some resources for that. So watch out for that coming next year. And I'm passing it to Casey.
Carrie Ann. So I'll just give you a quick little overview of the N.A.P.S project. So this is a project that started last year, was created by the Office of Mental Health and tapped National Association of Peer Supporters to run it. And the goal was really to make sure that peer supporters are feeling well supported, well resourced, well connected as they begin their careers or as they find that they're wanting to advance their careers. We wanted to give folks clear paths and resources to advancing, including paths to specialization or to supervision or management roles, to make sure that folks are staying in the field. And so we have a number of initiatives that we've got planned. Some of them have gotten off the ground. Some are still in the process of rolling out. One of those that has been up and running for a while is our online job board. And I'm going to pull this up in our breakout room and I can show you what it looks like to post a job on there. And this is specifically for peer support jobs. And we also have, we've started networking meetings monthly. We just started those last month in February. And one of the goals there is to really just build a sense of community and camaraderie amongst peer supporters throughout the state. And we do have hopes to start a supervisor networking meeting in the future. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We will be rolling out a mentorship pilot program. So our intention for this is for it to be time limited. So we'll have a month of training for those interested in becoming mentors, and then it will be 16 weeks of actual mentorship. And then once that whole pilot program is finished, we'll have a train the trainer so that those folks who've been trained in mentorship can then lead the next cohort of mentors. And then lastly, we plan to have a virtual hub on our website with resources and continuing education for peer supporters in New York, which we hope to be sort of a one-stop shop for peer supporters who, want to either shore up their education and their skills, get their continuing education requirements met, or explore what potential career advancement opportunities there are for them. So as supervisors, we hope that you'll be able to use these resources either for yourself if you're a peer, or to point your supervisees to sort of supplement any of the resources that you're already offering. That's it for me.
Okay, Rita, at this time, will we open up the breakout rooms? You're muted if you're talking, Rita.
Yeah, sorry about that. I lost my navigation bar. I couldn't find it. I was trying to direct everybody to look at Libby's sign up because it's an awesome conference. Yes, now is the time that we are going to go into breakout rooms. So if you would like to come with me to take a look at the PeerTAC site and some of the things that we have going on and a little bit of the coming attractions, join me, pick me, pick me. If you'd like to learn more about the specialization track and supervision that Joanne has talked about, you can join Joanne in the A.P.S specialty. Do we have breakouts that are set up for each? Wait a second, I'm seeing the unassigned. Okay, yeah, I got it. Families Together, A.P.S, PeerTAC, the Alliance, and N.A.P.S. So if you don't see it directly, it's down at the bottom of the scrolling screen for the breakouts. So we've got PeerTAC, A.P.S, Alliance, Families Together in New York, FT-NYS, or N.A.P.S. So we will spend about 20 minutes in the breakout sessions, and those of us that are leading will do our demos and show and tell, and then we'll come back and have some reactions. All right, let's go. I'm trying to find mine. Where's mine?
How do we do it?
So you click join next to the one that you'd like to join.
Don't see a join.
I think you have to go to the bottom of your screen. You have like a toolbar, and there should be an option that says breakout rooms. Let me know if you find it.
Okay, I see whiteboard. No.
It should be under more. If
Oh,
you can.
join breakout room.
Yep.
There it is. Thank you so much.
No problem. So to join your breakout room, make sure that you go to the bottom of your screen. There should be a toolbar. And if you click on more, there should be an option that says breakout rooms, and then you could scroll and choose the one that you want to join. Let me know if anybody has any questions. Does anybody else need help getting to a breakout room? I see there's still a couple of people. Let me know if you need any help. You could tell me which one you want to join and I could do it for you. That's also an option. Can people hear me, by the way? Mhm. I see we have 5 people left. Let me know if you would like to join a breakout room. You could tell me which one, and I can assign it for you. Libby, do you need help? Okay. Again, we're in breakout rooms, so if anybody would like to join at any point, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay, I was trying to find how I could unmute. Wow. Looks like we're almost all back again. How was that? Any reactions, any thoughts? You can either come off mute or you can add to the chat or anything you'd like to share. We just wanted reactions at this point.
Yeah, this is Susan. I'm sorry you can't see me. But again, it clarified so much for me, like really. And then now I know where to go to really dig down for the deep information that
Terrific. Anyone else? If anyone wants to share one thing that they learned in their session, it'd be great if we got a little bit from each one of the sessions of something you saw or something you learned or.
Rita, I liked the resource. Okay, I really did. It was interesting. And now I know if I need anything, I can go to that page. So I really enjoyed it.
So which one did you go to? Just when you come on and mention, which one did you go to?
I went to your PeerTAC. I went to you because I
Oh.
know you. I know you for a long time, Rita. A very long time.
Thank you.
So I went to the N.A.P.S one, and they have a lot in process that sounds very exciting. And the one that she was able to share a lot about was the job board that they have right now. So that's kind of exciting. And then the mentorship one, I'm really interested in that one as well. So it was interesting.
So with the mentorship, I think there's a little plug in here that we need to make. Casey, is there a way that people can become mentors?
Absolutely. I'm going to thank you, Rita. Thanks for that setup. I will put the link in the chat for the mentor interest form. So we're looking for folks who are credentialed as either certified peer specialists, youth peer advocates, or family peer advocates with at least a few years of experience who are interested in mentoring newer peer supporters. So I just added the link in there. Feel free to click through, can read a little bit more. And also, if you have any questions at all, please email me. I'll put my email in the chat as well.
Rita, I just want to jump in and support what Casey said and what other people have said. As you all know, even though these trainings, if we do say so ourselves, are wonderful and full of information, there's nothing like boots on the ground. There's nothing like that mentorship. There's nothing like following behind somebody who's done it before. If you're in the unenviable position of being the first peer supporter, family peer advocate, youth peer advocate in your organization, the force is with you, meaning all of us in this universe, but you have to find that person, whether in that organization or in one of these rooms, that you can say with humility, help me, I don't know what I'm doing. And, just to give it some context, because we forget that this is how we learn. I mentioned in one of my workshops, every July, the medical schools empty their rooms and they send what I call baby docs, because, they're 12 years old. They send all these baby docs to hospitals to learn as they go. So they've had all this book learning. And then if you're the patient in the bed and this 12-year-old comes in and talks to you, you go, oh my God. But then this really older person comes in right behind them and you go, oh, thank God. That's how it goes. So all these opportunities to get mentored or to get, to shadow someone or to talk to somebody, please take advantage, because it's one thing to read it. It's another thing to have your lived experience. And the third thing is Now what do? Do I run out the door and decide this was a really bad idea, or do I take a deep breath and say, I'm going to find someone to help me figure this out? Sorry, I had to say it.
I'll say it, help.
And one thing that I think all of our entities, our organizations have in common is that ability to provide that networking and support opportunity that in some programs, some organizations may not have that opportunity to provide to the peer staff. I think that above anything else that we've shared, maybe my co-presenters might not agree, but I think one of the best things that we're able to offer is that connection and networking with other peers that may not be available in specific work environments.
And I'll build on what you just said, Emily, because we did a lot of focus groups that were in association with Jonathan Edwards' work on the 5 functions of supervision. And the thing that kept coming up time and time and time again with all of the supervisors we were doing focus groups with was that they desperately want to network with other supervisors. So supervisors are out there, you know, it's kind of like we talk about the lone peer, but often it's the lone supervisor that's struggling with how do I do the best job of supervising somebody that's in a completely different discipline than I am. What do I do? How do I do this? And if the lone supervisor is working with a lone peer, there's a lot of lone stuff happening there. So one of the things, and I love that Casey mentioned this just a minute ago, because we've been thinking the same thing along the same lines, and that is developing a network for supervisors, just a place where supervisors can come together to network with each other. And I think Casey is going to be working on that. I think we're going to be working on it through PeerTAC. We may work together, we may work separately and have our own kind of different spheres that we're working within. But in either case, I think it's just so important for supervisors to have a place where they can go to learn with and from other supervisors.
100% agree with you, Rita, and with Casey. And I'll just put another little plug in for the Youth Peer Supervisor Cafe and the Family Peer Supervisor Cafes through Families Together. Again, you don't have to be a family or youth peer advocate yourself, but you need to be supervising a youth peer or family peer advocate to join those. And it is about networking and learning from each other. And the Families Together staff who run those, really what we want is to take a back seat and just give you that space to support each other and to network with each other. We may come up with some topic ideas or get the ball going and give some suggestions, but really it's about networking and supporting each other as supervisors.
I'm going to do a shameless plug because I have completely forgotten about it. Is the Alliance has our executive seminar coming up next month. That is a great opportunity for leaders, for supervisors of organizations to come together to learn. I'm going to share the link for that. It's registration through HUVA, where you can find more information. But this is something that we offer annually. So please check that out.
So we don't have to wait for Harvey to make the announcement at the end?
No, you'll probably hear it again in about 20 minutes, but I'll get in there first.
It's perfect. Thank you, Emily. Other things you heard in one of the rooms, or just something you'd like to toss out for us to be considering? Because here at PeerTAC, you know, we're open to all kinds of ideas and looking at what we can add to our list of things that we want to accomplish.
Well, since people are being quiet, I'll ask. I don't know, have any idea how to approach fixing the issue. But what I'm wondering is maybe you guys already have started looking at it. There are places that are hiring peers, and the supervisors aren't familiar with peers, so they're not using them correctly. They're not supervising them correctly. And I remember when I first came out of training, and had my first position, I was like, well, I'm excited for my position, but I want to please this new job that I'm in. And it was very confusing and difficult to set that boundary that I needed to for what the position is. And I know that that kind of thing is happening. It's not unusual. Is there anything that's being looked at for that kind of thing?
So I'm gonna jump back over to Joanne because there are some educational pieces for supervisors that are available. Learning about what the peer role is, either if it's youth or family. You know, we've got the whole program that's available through McSilver Institute that Families Together was instrumental in putting together. We've got the Academy of Peer Services that has a lot that it's actually what the peers themselves learn. And it's really helpful if the supervisors also take a little bit of time to understand what it is that the peers learned. It would be awesome if supervisors were willing to take something like intentional peer support to really truly understand what peer support can and should be as far as building relationship and just making relationship prime in that mutual support. But I'm going to hand it over to Joanne.
Thanks, Rita. Ginger, I really hear you, because this is a problem that is endemic in the profession. And it's a tough one, and we've been chipping away at it. And I would say that whether, you know, the first thing that strikes me is there's a lot of people who say supervision is supervision is supervision. And I don't subscribe to that. I really think that there are elements, maybe administrative elements, that are ubiquitous, and, you know, timesheets are timesheets and time and attendance and all of that good stuff. But to really learn a craft, you have to learn it from someone who knows it. So these organizations that are hiring peers, because as I said earlier, everyone wants one. Everyone's getting one. I want one. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I want one. You know, there's humility in admitting that I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm talking about the non-peer supervisors. And even for peers who are stepping in that supervisory role, that's a different role. So, you know, how do we as a community give people safe spaces to say and to recognize, if I've never done the job of a peer supporter, if I don't have lived experience, I don't know how to supervise that. Please help me. And really, I'm on a bandwagon these days, as poor Rita will tell you, which is, if I were in charge, and nobody vote for that, that's not a good idea. But I think organizations should contract with peer-run organizations to start off, to get their feet wet, to have somebody support them as they figure this out. It's, you don't know what you don't know. And that's where we're getting lots of peer drift, lots of co-optation, and sadly, people just leaving because they can't fight City Hall, if you will. So that is critical. And to have a safe space for people who are not getting the supervision they need, some kind of network that you set up in your area, a learning collaborative, the cafes that Carrie has talked about, that's going to save some folks, because it's within that room that they can get supervision from people who know what they're talking about. And I understand the problem is bigger than all of us here and needs to be redressed. I know N.A.P.S. and a bunch of us are on a policy level really pushing to undo that recommendation that came out of CMS It might have been well-intentioned, but it just has created barriers. And we don't need that right now. We need to forge ahead. I didn't answer your question exactly, but
I
you got
did have
the drift.
a thought though, that maybe would be helpful. Are there classes, I haven't come across them myself, but my own experience, I've learned to do this. Are peers being taught that they can interview where they're being interviewed at? I asked before I was hired in my current job, you know, who's supervising me? Do they know what a peer is? Have they gone through the training? I interviewed my interviewer. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
think,
laughing because that's Emily's. She's talked about that in different.
Good.
Yeah.
That's one. That is a soapbox I will stand on forever. You are interviewing the agency. You want to see that full job description. You want to see their handbook before you go. And as supervisors and as leaders of agencies that are hiring peers, you need to take a deep look at that job description, that handbook. If I were a peer, is it a place I'd want to work? I think there's a very valuable resource that we all kind of overlook with this, is that in any other field, we know licensed social workers, there's ethics and standards that you need to abide by. And as an employer, we fully support them in making sure that they're abiding by those ethics and those standards. Certified and credentialed peers also have ethics and standards that they must sign off, that they will adhere to. As a supervisor, as an agency leader, and someone who's employing peers, they should know those ethics and standards and expectations of, as a certified peer specialist, I have to uphold these values just the same as any clinical licensed professional role has to as well. So the first thing you can do, that's one that's kind of so obvious that we overlook it, is being aware of what standards and ethics the credentialing and the certification require of this individual. And then make sure that we're not asking them to go against those.
And one way to look for that is the application to becoming a certified peer specialist on the adult side. And I think it's also similar. There's the Families Together has those ethics on their site as well. So, you know, if the employer is not familiar with those practice standards and, you know, scope of practice and scope of activity, they ought to be.
See, Chad has his hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this has all been extremely educational for me, being a non-peer, being placed in volunteering to supervise our peer support specialist. I've heard a lot of like really negative stories, and I guess I'm thankful regarding our agency, and I guess who I am as a person and how I supervise our peer. If anybody knows me, I mean, we're in a pretty rural, little small area here in Oneonta, New York. So number one, there's not a lot of opportunities for peers to work anyway. So it's either us or it's RSS, right? So, you know, we recognize like, you know, people aren't beating on our door to be the peer support specialist. And the one that we have, you know, she's amazing. And the one we had before that, they were amazing as well. I guess my thought is, number one, you know, continuing to provide good support for non-peers who supervise peers. I know that one of my goals is to pave the way so that the current peer that I am supervising, A, no longer needs me and becomes the supervisor themselves. And B, I guess, you know, resorting back to like basic tenets of social work, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretty fierce advocate for, if you want something, I will fight on that hill with you until you get it. So, you know, fighting for my peer to have responsibility, to have equity at the table, to have input, to change the culture, to do all of those things. You know, I guess trying to figure out like, what is it that we're doing that needs to be recreated in these other places? Is it personality of people? Is it I don't know. I heard a lot of like God, what? Yeah, I wouldn't want to work there either. Even if I was a clinician, I probably wouldn't want to work there. So I guess thoughts on that.
Thanks. Galen and Susan, we're going to have to wrap up pretty quickly because Angelique's going to boot us pretty soon.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I'm right there with Chad. I have amazing peers. And the thing about my program is the peers are hired to do what they do. So for me being in this training, because I am all about empowerment and I want to know what is the best way to empower my peers. I want them to get more education, to learn more. Yes, to use your lived experience, but how can you tailor that in a professional way where you can still get some professional skills? So we have a peer academy actually. I'm with Health and Hospital Corporation, and it's such an amazing thing for the peers because they start off with probably 200 people and then it dwindles down because every environment is not for everyone. And the peers also do internship. So they actually get to come into the environment and work alongside the team. And then they get to see, like I work out of the medical ER. I had a peer was like, this is not for me. This is too triggering. There's a lot happening in the medical ER. And so they get to see and make a choice of, okay, this is where I want to work. I don't want to work here. I listened about the peer ethics and standards, and I feel like every organization functions different. H&H is a huge organization. And so I don't know how we tailor the ethics and standards, but for me, even when you think about ethics and standards, even with social work, it's about empathy, positive regard, treating people, like empowering people, treating them like they're human beings, right? Those things that should be common in human services. I mean, I did talk to one of my colleagues and she didn't understand the role of the peer. We talked about that a little bit, maybe to make copies or make phone calls, or I said, no, they're really hired to talk to patients about their lived experience. It's like talking to someone else on the street, right? In their own language, whatever language they use in that world, they're able to do that. And in the beginning, it was a little difficult because, I'm very kind of like, I'm well trained. I'm a licensed social worker. Well, our training is different. We are trained to speak well and, the boundaries. And so I had to quickly understand that that's not who they are. They're allowed to be who they are, outside of probably killing patients. But, that's what they do. They show up as their authentic self and they're organic and they work with people in that way. And I don't know what we would do without them. Like, they're like the best part of our team.
Okay, I'm just going to jump in real quick. Where I, as a peer and as a peer supervisor of peers, I would just like to say professional licensing, all those things are not the peer thing. So to want to make them more professional, our profession is our experience. So our experience is really our professional. Someone said that here already. And I think that's a lot of times where we get stuck is we don't need to be more educated. We are wisdom. We are wise. We are wise with all this stuff. And so our profession is wisdom. So for that question, why it's hard for a lot of people, and what I have come across in several of my positions and jobs is that the people licensed wanted me to act like a licensed professional. And when I didn't show the same, acting like the licensed professional, they were confused. They said, I don't know what I'm doing. They did not understand the difference between being a professional, being licensed, and being a peer and sharing your experience, strength, and hope. I am not diagnosing anybody. I am not trying to save someone's life. I am not a medical person, but I have experience and strength and hope that you're not ever going to find in a book, and you're never going to get a professional license to get it. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I think I'm going to hand it back over to Angelique to help us wrap up because we have to be at the wrap up session at 3:45. So just so we can have a chance to jump over there. So thank you all. Thank you all for your participation and for your great questions and the great conversation here. And I wish we had time to get to some of the things in the chat because there were a few important questions there that I think will want to take up and run with at some point. But I think for now, we'll hand it back over to Angelique and wrap up this session.
Yeah, thank you, Rita. Yeah, I definitely made note of all the questions and comments in a Google Doc, so we'll be able to take it back with our team and talk about it. So thank you all. This has been so informative, so very helpful. Thank you to our sponsors at OMH, our partners for the Alliance of Rights and Recovery, sorry. And thank you to all of you who took time out of your day today to attend. Just a reminder, in order to earn CE credit for your participation, you must complete the workshop evaluation you'll receive by email from the Alliance within 48 hours. And to access the wrap-up, you can go to your summit program schedule and then choose the title and click the link next to it. Just a reminder that the slides and recording will be available on the site within 30 days, the PeerTAC website. And thank you again for everything.
Thank you, everyone.